There we go.
Okay, let's do the countdown. I think that countdown music is way too dramatic for the show. Okay, let's do the theme now. It's Comedy Dish.
Co-starring Rick Wright and Stephen Allen Green.
Upbeat.
Well, forgive me, everyone, including my lovely co-host, many thousands of miles away. Tight schedule. Went to Trader Joe's, made a Sawney, which is British for sandwich. Really nice. And then I was having technical problems with the computer, which was supposed to be my eating time. Anyway, I do apologize. How you doing, Rick?
Really nice. It's finally winter over here.
Great. Great talking to you, Rick. Listen, folks, I've been a comedian since, I'm just joking. Okay, so it's been good weather, you said?
No,
or winter?
It's winter, yeah. We have to run the heating, even though it costs about £5 an hour or something like that. I mean,
yeah, wow.
It's going pretty bonkers, but wow. We just wear lots of clothing around the house. But yeah, today's high was 5 Celsius, and tomorrow the high is supposed to be 2. So, which 2 Celsius is 36 Fahrenheit.
I would imagine this is a great time for people to be hooking up, with that friend, that girl who's a friend, that woman who's a friend. Hey,
friends with benefits, yes.
Right, but you go to her house and she comes to yours because you have heating, or the fact that you gotta just simply cuddle, just like a family, just totally, platonic cuddle with the opposite or the same sex, whatever one might prefer. But this is the great thing about disaster, is that it brings us together.
Yeah, certainly. When the pandemic was going on, I mean, it was great when Boris declared that you could live, if you lived in a bubble situation where you just had a partner, as long as it was just that partner that visited. So, me and Maggie spent a lot of nights together during the as soon as it was okay to do so.
Yeah, COVID romance.
Yeah, it was nice to rekindle, So.
But I would have thought if it was like a really dark romantic comedy, it was like 2 lovers have COVID and then they're going to die, and they didn't take the vaccine, so they just they paint the town.
Yeah, the party like it's 1999 or something like
that. No one
that.
ever wallpapers the town, but they paint the town. So how you been? Have you been doing your live pub quizzes and doing comedy gigs?
Yeah, no comedy gigs of late. There's one that's been offered to me in France, but the guy keeps having to push it back. But yeah, that would be interesting, because I haven't been to France.
Is that Carl Beer?
No, his name's Andy Valver. And he's an American from California, I think, originally. But he's been based in France for about 10 years now. And he used to come to the Comedy Day thing. I think he was up in San Francisco for a while too. And he hung out at the Comedy Store back in the 80s.
So which other American comedians besides you? I think Mike Capizzola. Who else is stationed over there in the UK bothering the Brits?
Michael Siegel.
He's more of an actor, though, right? More than an actor.
More acting now, yeah. There's a guy named Russell Hicks who I tried to get on the show, but he seems to be working a lot. But he's from San Diego, and he he used to come to Comedy Store La Jolla just to see the shows, and he admired me because my picture was on the wall. And then when I told him that you were the co-host of this show, he said he remembers your picture on the wall too. So
nobody ever remembers me, but they remember my picture on the wall. My picture is no longer on the wall. They did some remodeling and took it down. And then, excuse me, I haven't eaten lunch. And then this really great new photographer, Troy Conrad, did a series called Comedians of the Hallway or something, Comedy Store Comedians, and took a photo of me. And they put that in the main room lobby, right next to Mark Maron and Dean Del Rey and all these comics, and I was real proud of that. At the same time, I wanted to spray paint over it. My picture works here, plays here more than I do.
Yes. Are you saying they did that in the Sunset Comedy Store or La Jolla?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I haven't been to La Jolla in 20 years.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's where Russell Hicks saw our pictures.
Oh.
Yeah, 'cause he's based in San Diego, so he used to go to the Comedy Store there. And
I talked to a manager down there a few months ago and told him who I was and that I wanted to come down there, but it was too long a drive for me to do just 5 minutes. And since I've already played there as a paid comedian back in the day, and he was amenable to that, he never emailed me back, and then I forgot about it. But I don't care. See, here's the thing, Brian. Then we're going to bring our guest on. We have a great guest. Wherever I play, this is my attitude, okay? This is not ego, although certainly ego is tied in with it. But wherever I play, that's the Comedy Store. That's the important club.
Yeah,
because that's the only way I can look at it. Yeah. I think you should look at it that way, and everybody who's doing their thing, whether it's an open micer producing a bringer show or a show up and go up show, every comic should have that attitude, which is, when I'm on stage, this is the place to be. I know that sounds crazy, but that's the attitude I think you have to have.
Yeah, well, I had that over here with the King's Head, before the pandemic. That was my home base, especially because, after Jongleurs closed and after John Keyes stopped booking me, the King's Head was the place where I could get on easiest. Although I did stuff for Ivor Dembina as well. But
Ivor Dembina.
Ivor.
All right. Well, I'm glad. And now that we've warmed up the discussion, let's bring on our special guest. So it's supposed to be Cole Parker. He's on a ship in the high seas somewhere, and we were planning this thing that when the ship gets into the region, if he can get proper signal, he'll do it. So. Checked me a couple hours ago and said, I'm not going to get signal. So luckily we had, I was able to get Gary Coleman. Hang on.
A spit take?
Nah, it's my phone, but I'm not going to answer it. And I love Gary Coleman. And I think we met, but all I know is that we became friends and we worked on a screenplay about, the screenplay for like 6 months, and what a great friend. And I got to tell you, I got to be totally honest with you, and this is going to sound silly, but when I'm in here in LA and depressed and useless and broke and hopeless, but still incredibly sexy, I
said, hear that, ladies?
Hear that, ladies? God, I look like such an idiot. You ladies, you should have seen me a long time ago. Anyway, I think of my British friends, and it's kind of interesting because it's usually like around 1 a.m, and I'm sitting outside and having a smoke and looking at Facebook and, trying to decide what is going on in my life and, am I kidding myself and, am I delusional and all that. I want to call my British friends. That's why I bother Peter too much. I end up calling Earl. This is how you call. When you call Earl Oaken, this is so this is the experience. And I'm going to bring Gary on. Gary, hang on. I'm doing another 20, 30 minutes here, and then I'm going to bring you up. You call Earl. It's like, brr, 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 brr. Hello. And you hear in the background, and General Dwight Eisenhower made a, so he's watching some documentary, and I go, how you doing, Earl? It's Steven. He goes, hang on. Let me turn down the telly. Hang on. And then, he goes over, the telly goes off, and then he comes back and goes, and he says some kind of Earlism. You go, what does that mean? I love Earl. I wish he would do this with us. Anyway, coming to the stage. What a delusional idiot. Coming to our show right now is a wonderful comedian, British comedian, very smart man, very, very good screenwriter and producer. And he runs a charity, a creative charity. And please welcome.
And he booked me a few months ago.
Oh, okay. Let me fix that. And he runs a creative charity, and he sometimes makes mistakes. Please welcome Gary Coleman, not that one.
Hey, thank you very much. Hi.
Hello, Gary. How are you?
That was me ringing your phone, Stephen, telling you to get me on. Stop talking. Hi.
Sorry.
Lovely to be here. Your special guest. Obviously not the one that you booked, but the other special guest too.
Oh, they're all special.
The more available of the special guests.
Yeah, not on a boat in the high seas. So
the landlocked special guest. It's lovely to be here. Hey,
how are you?
I'm good, man. Very, very good. Are you West London?
Right? No, I'm LA.
No, I'm North. I'm Crouch End.
You're Crouch End. All right. Okay. Yeah. Just checking.
Yes.
I'm East London. It's like freezing over here. It's miserable.
Yeah. So we have the heating on here. We're wusses, and we'd rather pay more money and stay warm.
I had a fireplace in my flat in Notting Hill. Is wood? If people have fireplaces these days?
Yeah, we got fireplaces. I'm not sure. You're not allowed to light them, I don't think, anymore in London, are you? It's against the law to light a fireplace or something. We've got them.
Really?
Yeah. You have to have smokeless fuel because of the smog. It killed people in London. Remember?
Well, that's if you're using the coal, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about wood burning fireplaces.
Right.
Well, I'm shit at doing fireplaces, so we just don't bother with it here.
Yeah. So my wife's a country girl, so she's good at that sort of thing. Just getting fires and things, rubbing two Boy Scouts together. Okay.
Yeah.
So Gary, what you been up to?
Well, I've been kind of busy. I've been really busy the past few weeks. I'm coming to LA. I'm going to visit you guys in LA in a couple of days' time. I'm flying over on Sunday, so we're doing a little recording of a demo for a panel show, which has been pitched primarily back to Britain, but we're doing it in LA because it's warmer. It's a bit warmer over there, so we're doing it in LA.
And you're doing. Can you tell us generally what kind of filming you're doing? This pilot is it a drama? Is it a sitcom? What is it?
Well, hopefully it's funny. It's a panel show. It's a comedy panel show. I don't think panel shows aren't a massive thing in the States. It's a very British thing.
Well, they used to be in the 50s. We had To Tell the Truth and What's My Line?
Right. Yeah.
Is this panel contestant panels or?
No, these are comedy panel shows. So I think in the States, where you tend to have sort of like satirical sketch show is the vehicle for circuit comics to go on TV and not burn through all their bits. I think in Britain, we tend not to have satirical sketch shows. We tend to have panel shows. So you go on a panel show and you can be funny without. It's like this. You can muck about and be funny, but you haven't got to burn through all your gags.
Yeah, we don't really have that. We just have, the thing is, I was going to say the Tonight Show. Excuse me, the Tonight Show, which is called a talk show, used to be because they have a couch and they have a chair and then they have the desk of the host. So it used to be like a discussion with two people, the host and the first guest. And then the second guest would come out and the first guest would move down the couch. And then eventually they'd have a total of 5 or 6 people involved in sort of a cocktail party kind of conversation. Yeah. But they don't do that anymore.
Yeah. And once the first guest was done, he didn't say much for the rest of the show. He'd move over unless he wanted to join in.
Not only in the latter days of the Carson show, but back in the 50s and early 60s, that was a tradition. It was very much sort of like the Dick Van Dyke Show if it was real.
Yeah, the Jack Parr show was more that way with the whole cast getting involved.
I mean, the thing is, if you want to reach a bunch of people and it should be a group experience, but I guess I don't know what these broadcast scientists have figured out is that no, it's got to be 1-to-1. And I was going one more thing. I was watching Kimmel last night because I wanted to hear his jokes on the Senate race, which was taped before the results. I think I'm not quite sure, but I love Kimmel, and I just then they went to a sketch, on Hollywood Boulevard in front of the studio where they found two families, a mom and pop and a child. And there was a 60-second contest to wrap the child in gift wrap, Christmas wrap. And I just felt the whole thing, the way it was delivered and produced, was meant for a general audience, like a family type audience, because it just was inane.
I always just watch the monologue. Then when they go into one of those bits, that's when I move to the next YouTube video, because those are except when they have the guy that does Mike Lindell. He's pretty funny.
But that's again a character I'm sick of seeing. But I hear you. You know what I do? I do like as bad as SNL has become. I love their. Of course, we're talking about things that Gary doesn't know anything about. I love their weekend update. Very, very sharp these days. Gary, you're being in England. You're not really. You're aware that SNL exists, but you don't watch it.
No, they won't get it over here.
Yeah, we don't get it over here. You can see everything online, so I'm aware of it from watching bits of it online, and then what we do is, I suppose, we see the stars of SNL years later when they're making their sitcoms and things. We see them then, and you're kind of aware that they had a life before, which was this SNL.
But yeah, they used to make the when Alec Baldwin was doing Trump, they made those opening monologues available, around the world. So because I remember watching those. But the rest of the show, they kind of, they didn't, but I do remember watching Saturday Night Live when my girlfriend and I were over there about 5 years ago, and it was on early for some reason. And I just was watching and going, this is really horrible show, horrible comedy show. It was after they'd done the weekend update stuff. So it was like just sketches that seemed to go nowhere. And then I realized, oh shit, it's Saturday Night Live. So I was a little surprised. I mean, but that's the only time I've watched Saturday Night Live in the last.
Well, Well, the thing is, and I remember watching the original episodes in '75 with my sister, older sister, and I'd go over to her place and we'd bring a pizza and we'd hang out and watch that show. And I mean, you're talking about counterculture comedy. You're talking about cutting edge. You're talking about trained improv writers and actors from Second City and National Lampoon, and coming really from a very rebellious rock and roll culture, and given a time slot that they thought nobody would watch. So what's happened is it's now flipped. And, stars have been, SNL makes movie stars, all the way back to Chevy Chase and through Mike Myers and whoever else is, it's a big money gamble. It's high real estate now. So again, I'm guessing that, it's just a guess, that since they're able to be really smart with Weekend Update, that's the fake news jokes, Gary. Why are they so sophomoric is the best word for it on their sketches? And my theory is because they're trying to appeal to both audiences. They're trying to appeal to young teens, and I think some grandmas in rocking chairs, and then they're trying to get, the more intellectually minded like me. Hi, Bob. My name is Steven. I'm intellectually minded.
Yes.
How much? What's the landscape for sort of TV, not sitcoms, but sort of TV, a comedy in the States at the moment? For example, in the UK, we had our biggest panel show was a thing called Mock the Week, and it was just taken off air. It ran for years and years. It was taken off air. Recently.
Hosted by Dara O'Brien.
Yeah. There's a couple of them. There's a couple of them still kind of going, Have I Got News for You, which is sort of a new satirical show, but there's not many of them.
I love those shows.
And it does sort of feel as if the audience is moving away from us. I think the young people who want something edgy and shocking are going to go to novel platforms. They're going to go online.
They had Whose Line Is It Anyway, which they later brought to the U.S. That's been off for about 15 years or so, right? I can't remember. But I just remember Greg Proops was on the English version of it, and then there was some English person that was on the American version. I can't remember who.
Slattery, was it?
Could have been.
What was he called? Slattery. Oh my word! What was his name?
Tony Slattery.
Tony Slattery. Thank you. Yeah. He was really good. I mean, but when I remember as a kid watching that show, and because it was a British show, it was written by the Brits, and then we kind of exported over there. But before we did that, in Britain, it was almost sold to us as an American show. It was all these North American accents, so I think a lot of them would have been maybe Canadian and American, but it was all North American accents, and I think there was something kind of
well. There's also there's a bigger problem. It's a mathematical financial mechanic that's going on here with I just know it. I mean, I think anybody knows it, is that you don't see the purview to picking guests for talk shows on network talk shows is not who is interesting, who's someone that we've never heard of but is interesting, who's a good talker, who's an old friend. It's none of that. It's who's got something to promote. And so therefore one would just easily conclude that the network tells Kimmel, tells Fallon, tells Colbert who to book, I'm guessing, based on what studio spends millions on the network to advertise their next Marvel movie. And of course they're going to want Robert Downey Jr. And Robert Downey Jr. happens to fit all those things. He's an old friend, we all know. He's super interesting. He's funny.
And he's got a plug.
And yeah, but I mean, it just seems to be, same thing in radio. And I had an Uber passenger a couple of weeks ago, a lady who was head of the music business in Italy, the rights side of the music business in Italy. And, we were talking and, so I was saying, so what kind of music, is popular? She goes, kind of like, hip hop, dance and stuff. And I said, I'll be honest with you. I like some of it, but it's not my cup of tea. I'm an old stir and I want to hear an original tune and some original arrangements and some meaning and depth and a song that can be covered, or maybe some kind of instrumental gymnastics by, Clapton and John Mayall or something. And so what's going on in the industry at large? And she said, well, it's half the people's fault for wanting that music or responsibility but complicit with the record companies that have those artists and invested in those artists. Now, I'm not trying to stop hip hop. I mean, I love it all. I love it all. My preference is different. And I don't hear, I heard better radio when I lived in England on the BBC. That's why I listened to the BBC.
Yeah. They keep those songs alive, really. BBC Two does.
Not just old songs, but I mean, I never heard Keane before until I lived in England. And then I'd go back to America. You ever hear Keane? No, never heard of Keane.
Well, they did eventually.
Coldplay. I mean, I knew about Coldplay like 3 years before any American knew about Coldplay.
I met a girl who discovered Coldplay.
You met a girl what?
I met the girl who discovered Coldplay.
Discovered them? You mean she actually discovered? Gary, can you get some more light on your face? We can't see you very well, and it's affecting my hearing. You. That's a little better. Yeah, no, you got to get a light on you, mate. If you're going to produce a movie, you'll be the dark guy. Forget it. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So you met the girl that discovered Coldplay. Tell us that story.
So I think we're still kind of Facebook friends. She worked for a music company, but in a quite a sort of junior position, and she was in a bar, and there's a band came on called The Coldplay or something, and she went, "Oh my, you've got to see these guys; they're amazing." And she just managed to get this band in front of the execs, and they went, "Yeah, this guy's going to be huge." And that was it. But she discovered them, and she sort of passed them on to the record company. And then they were what's the guy called? Chris Martin.
Chris Martin, yeah.
And then that's what she did. She was quite junior. She passed them on. They became mega millionaires, but they were really nice. They kept her on all the time, so they employed her as some kind of management role. When she was talking to me, she goes, "I didn't really have a job, but they were just really nice, and they kept paying me just because I was the girl. I got them discovered." And he sounded like Chris Martin's like a really kind of nice person.
Well,
music.
I remember as well, one night I had a quiz question where I said, "Name another member of Coldplay besides Chris Martin."
Yeah.
And
No one.
yeah, and I can't even. I had the answers there, and I can't remember the answers. What the answers
Well,
were.
speaking of answers, Damian Fitz is a regular watcher of Comedy Dish. Hey, Rick, he just said, and Dick Cavett show too. Right on, Damian. Rick, I've been trying to think of a way we can monetize this show. I've been thinking about Patreon, even though they're having some issues as a platform. And I just forgot it.
You had an idea.
Yeah, that won't help. Not this one. This was a fleeting one. All right, look, it'll come back to me. Let's do our pub quiz. Let me get the little theme going for pub quiz. This is going to be pub quiz. 3 questions, points only. Now, Gary, since you're coming to America, and I am picking you up at the airport.
Fantastic! Thank you very much.
Yeah, I told you I would. You just got to. You got to remember to give me the details. I'll pick you up. If I win, you have to pay for the ride. But if I win this quiz, which is we have 3 or 4 sections till the end. If I win, then you buy the drink.
In London, you get these really dodgy Uber drivers who just take you around they could be charging.
They can't do that with Uber because Uber tracks the car.
Yeah, you have a flat rate with Uber.
Okay, I lied. Not Uber. These dodgy ones that you find outside
the black cabs. Yes.
Not black cabs. Just the car pulls up and a guy whispers, "Hey, do you want a taxi?"
All right, here we go.
Okay, so lots of different things in the news. We'll start with the passing a week ago today, of Christine McVie from Fleetwood Mac. What was her surname before she married John McVie? She made an album under that.
Fleetwood?
I know. It's either joy. It's a word like joy, but longer. It's a bright.
It's a positive word. Yes.
A positive word, and it doesn't seem like a surname.
Faith.
What is it? What do you say?
Faith? Divine.
Faith?
Nope. But divine is kind of where you in the ballpark.
Is it 2 syllables?
It's 2 syllables. 7
What's
letters.
the first letter?
P.
P as in Paul?
Praise.
No, 7 letters.
7 letters. Christine McVie's maiden name, 7 letters, began with a P, and it's a one-word. Sorry?
What's the other 6 letters? Not necessarily the right
order. Are you serious, Gary?
Yeah, there's an E in there. A couple.
What are the other 6 letters?
A couple of E's in there.
Yeah, well, how do you spell it? Yeah, test that. Oh, God, because I heard it the other night.
Synonym for ideal.
Perfect.
Perfect is the answer.
Really? That's her actual birth name?
Her actual birth name was Christine Perfect. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why would you change your name? That was perfect.
Well, she did make an album as Christine Perfect, but then she married John McVie, and he took that name away from her. Okay, next question.
So that's 0-0. We got to keep the score up there. I got to get some graphics that show the score. There must be a thing on StreamYard.
You got a half point because you did.
I get a half point. Oh, you do half points?
Yeah, I mean it took several clues, but you did give the answer eventually.
Oh, I'm slow.
So, okay. This is kind of lengthy, but a corpusant.
So's my. Start again.
I wasn't going to read it slowly, like a corpusant.
No. I said. Never mind. It was a joke. Go carry on.
A corpusant.
Start again.
CORPOS.
Start now. Start again.
Echo. Is a corpusant.
Start again so I can hear it. Okay.
A corpusant is the technical name for the flame-like electrical discharge seen above a ship's mast during a stormy weather, but it's better known as what?
What is it? What is it not known? What was the? What is it otherwise known as? I didn't hear that part.
The word, corposant. That seemed to trigger.
Corposant is the term for the electrical charge on a ship's sail in the middle of a storm, but it's more commonly known as. Is that the question?
Yeah, more commonly known as.
It's not that commonly known, is it? Let's be honest.
Well, it was the title of a big hit song, international hit song from 1984, and I think it was also the title tune to a film.
Title tune to what?
To a movie.
American movie?
It was one of those Brat Pack movies from 1984, I think.
St. Elmo's Fire.
St. Elmo's Fire is the answer. So,
boom.
Do you not get like
I remember that because sorry, what?
Use a sound effect, an applause sound effect.
Yeah, but was that true? But was that question fair for Gary? Because that was an American hit, not a British movie.
It was a British hit as well.
Okay, because we
don't have British movies, Stephen. We just have American movies.
Yeah, right. I forget. Rob Lowe, was it Rob Lowe? Rob Lowe was a guest on the Fraser Smith Show, and I produced it back in '85, promoting that movie. So,
of course,
I just got to add that to my celebrity list. Rob Lowe. I've communicated with Rob.
Okay, here's one that Gary's going to get.
Come on,
because it's a World Cup question.
Oh, so, fuck off then! Just give it to him. I don't even want to hear it.
Come on, then.
Just give him the point. Okay, I'll give it to him anyway.
Yeah, what other two countries besides England finished the group stages with 7 points?
Portugal.
Portugal lost one, so they finished with 6 points.
Ecuador.
So they play three. Yeah, they play 3 games in the group stages.
France.
And France was not one of them either. But they've all still gone through to the next round.
I'm just guessing countries because I'm not keeping up with football.
Well, those are all countries that were in the finals, the 16.
I was doing an Uber shift. I was home watching Wednesday on Netflix. I was busy.
We watched the first episode of Wednesday.
What'd you think?
Good. Yeah, it's quite good.
It is good.
I like I especially like the use of Luis Guzman as Gomez because he's.
Well, you know what? I looked at the original Charles Adams cartoons online. He looks like that, right, Gary? Doesn't look like.
I've only seen the trailers. I haven't seen it. I really want to watch it. A friend of mine is in it. I don't know if he's got a big part or a small part in it. But
who's that?
His name is Simon Furness. He's an actor. I don't know. He just had a little thing on Facebook. Goes, hey, I'm in the thing. You know.
It spells like you are like the blast furnace.
No, FURNESS.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen it?
Because there was a famous person in America named Betty Furness.
Furness is probably his name, Simon Furness.
Anyway, the two countries were Netherlands and Morocco.
I was going to say Morocco. Oh,
yeah,
Morocco.
Yes, that was a. I've been watching it more than I usually do this time. So, anyway,
my son's mad about football, so he puts it on. I have to sort of sit and tolerate it whilst it's on. Yeah. But well done, Morocco.
Yeah, no, they won. It was a penalty shootout that they had yesterday against
Spain. I'm thinking
Spain. It was against Spain, and
it's incredible. They had this penalty shootout. I know in America it's not big. In fact, America did really well, didn't they? America played England, and they were really good.
They did really well against England.
Yeah. But yeah, because normally in a penalty shootout, you just score all the goals, and somebody eventually gets, the keeper saves one ball. But the Moroccan keeper just saved all the goals. It was mental. Really good. Steven's not a fan.
So, okay, we're done talking. But, we could talk American sport and Stephen would still.
Who got the point on that one?
Nobody did.
Okay, so what's the score? I have a half point. Gary has 1 or 0.
Well, you got the St. Elmo's Fire too, so you actually have 1.5 to 0.
All right, Gary, get ready to buy me an American size pint of Guinness.
I'm buying this taxi ride.
It's going to cost you, Gary. You're going to have to also stop off and buy me dinner, and I need some new clothes and some new headphones. I'm going to drop you off in the middle of Gangsterville if you don't.
Yeah,
that's
where my hotel is. That's perfect.
All right, let's go to the next question. Last question of this.
Then victim. Yes.
You want me to get you stage time here, Gary? I can do that, by the way.
Get you steaks.
Do you want to do some comedy when you're in LA? I can definitely get you on some good places.
Well, I could do. I mean, I get there. I'm very busy kind of prepping stuff because we haven't prepped anything. Then we're doing the recording. I get there on the Sunday, recording it on Wednesday. I'm around Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay, let's remind me via Messenger, and I'll definitely. Also got to go to the Comedy Store and hang out. And I'm going to show you the Comedy Store.
Gigs. I'd like to see you do a gig.
Well, I mean, yeah, I know. All right. Well, I'll get on. They just Comedy Chateau will likely put me on. Flappers, we just got in terms of my comedy telling story that I produced. My agent and partner on this venture, who happens to be my agent and a good comic who produces shows, Adam Lieblein, negotiated Real Comedy Stories to go from the small venue on Vine, the little theatrical venue, to Flappers Comedy Club. Anyway, this is just, what's the next question? How many questions have we done so far, Rick? I'm sorry.
We've done 3, so we could go on and talk and come back to this.
Okay, but first we have to watch remove you guys and put you in the green room. We have a 30-second public service announcement. Hi, folks. I'm Stephen Allen Green. Now, for many, many years, I've portrayed myself on social media as being somewhat crazy. And you know what? Even though I'm not rich, I've benefited greatly. I've gotten writing jobs, comedy gigs, met ladies, been invited to parties just by pretending to be crazy. Now, you can too. In my new course, masterclass on how to appear to be crazy on social media, and then the rest of the bit. So that's a bit, I don't have time to do it. I mean, I'm wasting everybody's time. I'm just experimenting with a new format. I should pre-record these things. You and I should do them, act them out, and then I'll edit them. All right, so now we're back to our regular show, talking with Gary Coleman. And let's point out to our audience, is Gary Coleman the dead?
The
midget?
one
Is he dead?
I'm not the dead one, no.
Not the dead one.
And yet, I still have got a way smaller social profile. You'd think just the fact that I was alive, I'd have some advantage over him.
That the other Gary Coleman ran when there was a runoff for governor of California, the one that Schwarzenegger eventually won. Gary Coleman was one of the candidates that year.
That's right.
Along with, I think, Angeline from all the billboards in LA.
The most famous prostitute in Hollywood.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know if that was if she did that or not, but she always drove around in this pink Cadillac convertible and had these posters that would say Angeline rocks, and you weren't sure if it was
that's Damian Fitz, one of our contributing producers as an audience member. He's asking if December 31st is really the last day for Negron area rugs. No, what way did you say that, Gary? Damian?
Yeah, we haven't plugged them for a while. So
no, you know why? Because we normally run the clip, which is our friend the late Taylor Negron in the movie Punchline about stand-up comedians starring Tom Hanks and Sally Field. And I got bitten in the ass by the internet police.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because everything has rights, but nothing has wrongs.
Yeah, I wondered about that. Because
Americans have rights, the Bill of Rights. How about the Bill of Wrongs? Jerry Seinfeld, if he was smart. No, if he was edgy, if he was political. Jerry Seinfeld as Bill Hicks. Jerry Seinfeld as Bill Hicks. All right. So, what's with all these governments putting mind control in our water system? We're all going to die anyway. It's just a ride.
Yeah, that's good. It's just, for some reason, all I remember of Bill Hicks now is that clip of him just completely going off on this woman who heckles him, and he's just like pacing across the stage and going, "Well, I'm going to heckle the comedian because I have a cunt, and therefore I can."
Whoa, hey, Rick, we have ladies watching. We have nuns watching this show. Anyway, Damien, Negron Area Rugs is still our main sponsor, and we'll be doing a commercial later on for that. So you got heating issues. Everyone's freezing their ass off in England. You got comedy clubs kind of reopening because people want to gather in warm places with other warm bodies, right? That's good for business. You have somewhat of a stable government now with your new prime minister. What's his or her name again?
Rishi Sunak.
Yeah, how's that stabling out there for you guys?
Not at all, I don't think. He's
a Tory, right?
Well, yeah, he's a Tory, and he's grown up rich. So
he's one of the richest people in England. He's richer than the Queen. That's what they said in America.
His wife is rich, isn't she? I mean, she could just
the wife.
She could solve the UK's problems just by pulling a credit card out and just
debit card.
Yeah, I think. It's
I get subtitles.
Like Mitch McConnell's wife is really the breadwinner. In America, that she's the one that has all the money, but Mitch has the name.
Oh, come on. He's, Mitch McConnell's the head. He's the, Senate minority, head of the Senate minority. And the thing is, or now minority. And, it's like all these senators, especially someone like him, comes from Kentucky, a coal mining state. He's the only one to really be stridently anti-climate change voting, anti-progressive laws, all the way, because he's all being paid off. All these politicians, the salary for a president used to be $100,000. Now I think it's $400,000. But these guys come away millionaires, and it isn't just from book deals.
Yeah, well, Clinton made the money on public speaking tours, but
that's after. I'm saying after they're president. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever they do, but when they're president, when they're senator. McConnell's been a senator for at least 20 or 30 years, and a big important senator. And he's a millionaire. How did that happen? It isn't just his rich wife. That's just a cover.
Well, yeah, and he's actually. I think he's one of the richest senators, but it is, they got all sorts of deals going on that they don't talk about.
No, okay. So Gary, do you have this kind of money flow and corruption in the UK whereby somebody gets a politician? Okay, so let's say big business, secret, dirty, polluting, corrupt, offshore, Blackwater type of business wants to get some legislation done in England that would end a blockade of their financial gain or create a bridge to financial gain. And so they back a politician with advertising and blah, blah, blah. And because they made a deal with that politician, because again, we're focusing on politicians, not senators. And that's what I hate about the news here in America. Is they say, hey, he's quite a politician. Well, that's just quite a magician, quite a con man. Let's talk about the actual job is senator. He's quite a senator. No one says that. So, Gary, question is, do you have in England the same kind of vulnerability or the same kind of corruption on an individual basis with certain members of parliament who are very powerful and believed to be backed by some dark monetary forces?
I think that.
And the second part of that question is, can I get booked at your South End club?
I booked you at my South End.
I know, it's just I know you did. I'm just kidding. So what do you? I wanted to get it back.
That booking is open. You can come anytime. That.
Thank you.
We've got a blue plaque on the wall, just waiting to engrave it.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Alan Green was here.
Oh, briefly. Okay.
Stephen Alan Green died.
Forget what
I died many times here.
Don't forget what the original question was.
I think, here's the thing. I used to be in the army. I traveled around the world, the British Army, going to all these different sort of ex-colonial countries, I suppose. And you go there and there's a sense that some of these countries, there's an element of corruption in some of the cities you'd go to and things like that. Which you don't see in Britain. You don't see that element of sort of criminality, corruption in sort of petty government, in local government. But that's only because you don't need to be corrupt in Britain, because the disadvantage, the elitism is just so ingrained in the system. You haven't got to break the law. You haven't got to be a criminal to get that kind of advantage. It's just there. It's just there in the system. It goes right through our system. It's just,
can you explain that even further, or give me an example, a working example? Talking about what part of town you grow up in, or what?
Quite clear. Stephen. I had no idea what I was talking about. I was talking nonsense. I don't know. Yeah, I just think that if you don't need to be, in some country, in a smaller, there's like these tin. This is not a phrase I'd use, like a tin pot, dictatorship or something. You have these people go in and they have to have criminality in order to get all the money funneled into them. In Britain, you don't have to be a criminal to do it. The system just does that. If you're rich, if you're born rich, if you get yourself in a position of power, you haven't got to break a single law. The law is set up so the money funnels into you out of poor people. That's why we had Robin Hood.
I love it. I mean, that's probably the greatest explanation I've ever heard.
Yes. Well, there's this whole royal family that's funded by the taxpayers. So
there you go. And that's just how insane is that? That's crazy.
Yeah. Yes. I read the Daily Mail every day. Well, I don't read the entire paper because the first 10 pages are talking about how horrible Meghan and Harry are, and then the next 5 or 10 pages are talking about how wonderful the rest of the royal family is, and then the next 5 pages are how great Brexit is. So I skip over all that, go right to the puzzle page because it has really great quiz questions that I can use for my quizzes. And also it's cheaper than most of the papers. I mean, I could read The Guardian and they're preaching to the choir, when they have some wonderful writers and, some great editorials and they editorialize on American politics too. They've had articles about Herschel Walker that I found very interesting. But yeah, the Mail is 90p a day and the Guardian's $2.50 a day. So £2.50.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, cost of newsprint keeps going up,
but is the Guardian so much thicker or bigger than the
much
Mail?
smaller? Yeah. It's
which is much smaller.
The Guardian's much smaller than the Mail,
and it's more money than the larger paper.
Yeah, because Mail has more advertisers.
Oh, I see.
Of the 88 pages or so in the Mail, about 40 of them are advertising.
I see.
I don't think I've physically bought a newspaper for 10 years, 15. I can't remember the last time I bought a newspaper. I used to, on a weekend, just get these massive, big, thick newspapers, this big, stacks full of magazines and things. I still love that. Down and reading. Feeling I was all intellectual, having a coffee.
I have to do another ad. I'll be right back. This is an ad, not this time. We'll be right back with Comedy Dish. Hi, folks. Do you have a sandwich that needs a boost? Just like you might have a podcast that needs a boost. Either way, go with Coleman. Coleman, the synonym for boost, whether it's your sarnie or your guest.
and they spelled it the right way too.
That's right. That's the correct spelling of it. Yeah.
All right, let's do another pub quiz. Should we do another pub quiz? Let's do another pub quiz. I say we do another pub quiz. A second pub quiz, and we'll do at least one more after that. So pub quiz. Where's the theme? The short one. All right, here we go. Pub quiz. 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 Actually, Brian's pub quiz doing the chant, right?
Yeah, those are my pubsters. My
pubsters.
I was just about to say, which pub is that photograph from?
That's I don't know what the photograph is.
No, I got the photograph. I snatched it off the web, but the vocal was recorded at Rick's actual pub quiz.
The Shaftesbury Pub in Crouch Hill. It's on Hornsey Road, if you know the area. If you're at the King's Head and you go on that same road, just go directly over the hill, and when you come over the hill and the shops start again, the first thing on your left is the Shaftesbury Pub.
Right.
Yeah.
Brian, I'm going to say this one more time, and it's none of my business, but it's not the King's Head. It's the King's Head.
Oh, I see. Emphasis on the wrong syllable. Yeah. Gotcha.
All right. Pub quiz round. Is this round 2 or 3?
This is round 2. I know.
Round 2. And what's the score going in?
1.5 to 0.
I have the 1.5. Okay. I think Gary's going to come back and rebound on this.
Yeah, I'm going to
okay.
a nice tense.
First of all, What happened 42 years ago tomorrow in New York City?
42. Okay, tomorrow. So that would be 1983. No, 1982. How many years? 42. 1980 in New York City on this day. It's December 7th.
John Lennon was
1.2. Gary Coleman.
I thought John Lennon was the 9th. No, he died on the 9th. He died on Pearl Harbor Day, and he's married to a Japanese. I think we need to look into this.
It was October 8th or December 8th. I'm sorry, when the assassination happened. But by the time he was assassinated, it was already the 9th over in England, because it was kind of late at night. It was about 10:30 or 11 o'clock in New York when he was assassinated. So it's 1.5 to 1 now.
Good one, Gary. Good one, Gary.
Okay. All right. The latest annual survey has shown New York City tied with what Asian city at the top of the list of top 10 most expensive cities to live? And believe it or not,
San Francisco.
No, Asian city.
San Francisco.
Chinatown. London is not even in the top 10.
Okay, so what city, Asian city, ties with New York City ties with number one of
number one with it's not
Singapore.
Singapore is the correct answer. Yes.
Boom. Come on, Gary.
Tokyo was 6th or 7th, something like that, and San Francisco was 4th, and LA was 7th.
We'll do some boxing with Mickey Rourke when you get out here. Or I get a connection to Tom Sizemore. He's that bad guy who did a lot of drugs, but was in private, Saving Brian's Privates. Anyway, we can get some boxing going on with Mickey Rourke when you get out here.
Saving Brian's Privates. I like that.
Shut up. Okay, so who got that? Who got that right? I got it right.
Yes, you got that one. So
okay, what's the next one? Next question.
1.5 to 1. All right. Selling its first lot of 900 supposed hand-signed copies at £500 per copy.
Bob Dylan.
Yes.
He's right. Are you allowed to buzz in before the question's completed, by the way? I guess we just proved that the answer is yes. Fine. Bob Dylan. What's the score now?
It's 2.5 to 2.
I'm still ahead.
All right.
Very tense.
Let's go
You could pull out a squeaker.
Animation. What is the name of the loud fat child on South Park? Full name.
Carmen. Oh.
Full name. It's
the full first and last name.
Jeez, I wouldn't know. I just know Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny's the one they kill every.
Okay, they killed Kenny already. Kill Kenny.
Is it Cartman? Something Cartman? Cartman something?
Cartman is the last name.
So he gets a half point. So we're tied.
Yeah. Okay. Let's. All right.
Tied at what? 3-3 or 2-2?
Yeah, I guess it's tied at 2.5 to 2.5. Yeah, because his first name is Eric.
Right.
So I gave you.
What's Carmen's first name?
Eric. So
Eric Common.
Eric Carmen was a pop singer of the 70s.
Oh, it was a joke on Eric Carmen.
Maybe.
All by myself, don't want to be. Yeah, did you think about the last couple of questions? Because it just occurred to me that John Lennon was killed around Pearl Harbor Day, and he was married to a Japanese lady. Just want to point that out.
Yeah.
Because she destroyed the Beatles. Got him killed. All right, Carrie, I'm just kidding, Yoko, if you're watching. She's a big fan. All right, so next question. Is this a tiebreaker but we still have another round coming up.
Yeah, I think we'll have another round here.
Yeah.
Okay. A question on epidemics. Monkeypox has been renamed by the World Health Organization to what? Mpox is the correct answer. So it's now 3.5. Mpox. Hansen, 1997. Yes, very good. Should we do one more before?
I get a point for you saying Hansen, 1977.
You might get a half a point. If I'm lenient. I'm so lenient with my contestants because I do the scoring myself too. Oh, what do we got down?
I'm just experimenting with backgrounds. This is a Frestonia poster. And,
okay,
sorry about that. Carry on.
Okay, I'll ask one more here. A quick one. All right, 70s pop.
'70s pop.
That's right. If you play it backwards, then you're not breaching any copyright.
This is part of their library, so it's all been cleared. All right. So okay. I'm putting so for the last question, I got some background music.
Okay. Well, that's kind of 70s background. The song was called "I Love My Dog." It was kind of tongue-in-cheek, given the name of the singer. It peaked at number 28 on the UK charts in 1966. It was the first chart entry for what major English singer-songwriter of the 1970s? Think of "I Love My Dog."
That's a complex question. Could you start this again, please?
Yes. Okay. "I Love My Dog," the tongue-in-cheek titled tune, which peaked at number 28 in 1966. It was the first chart entry for what major English singer-songwriter of the 1970s who changed his name again in the 1980s?
Who changed his name again in the 1980s?
Yeah, because he changed his name to the name that he's most famous for, but he changed it again due to some religious stuff.
Cat Stevens.
Cat Stevens. Yes, yes. "I Love My Dog" by Cat Stevens. That was his first hit. So, okay, now Stephen has a 1.5 point lead again. It's.
I have a question for you because I got fascinated with both of you, but particularly Rick. I got, a song just kicked in my head, and it was down at the Boondocks.
Yeah, Billy Joe Royal.
Yeah, down on the Boondocks, do. And then I wanted to play the other one I remember as a kid, which was "Hang On Sloopy." And then I realized when listening to both of them that they had a similar theme, but they were in reverse. What was that theme? This is a non-point question.
Oh, yes. The guy lives in poverty in the
which song? Which song?
Down in the Boondocks.
Right.
And the girl lives in poverty and "Hang On Sloopy." Is
correct.
That it?
Yep, exactly.
Yes.
Do you know those songs, Gary?
I know "Hang On Sloopy." The first one I don't recognize.
I can't play it because of rights issues, but down in the boondocks, down in the boondocks. I love her and she loves me, but that propriety. Lord have mercy to a boy down in the boondocks. Great song.
The only connection.
That was almost as if you were playing it.
Yeah.
Gee, thanks.
The only connection is the "Down in the Boondocks" was written by Joe South, whose one hit in UK was "Oh, the games people play now, every night, every day."
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
But he did a lot as a songwriter. But
didn't he also do that song, which was kind of like, it turned into kind of rap in the middle? This is like 1970s. "You dig it. I didn't want you to do it, but you did it. There's a beat going on. Come on, show me. Remember
that was Joe Tex.
Oh, Joe Tex.
Joe Tex, I gotcha.
Was it Joe Texting? Would it be Joe Texting today? Hey, how come people from Texas? All right, well, make it Textus. Let's change it to Textus. So therefore, if you're from Texas, you have to use your phone.
Well, I met Joe Tex back in.
Tell us the story.
He's a great R&B singer. He had hits. Well, "I Got You" was his number one, but he also had "Skinny Legs and All" in 1967 and "Hold What You Got." His only hit in the UK was "Ain't Gonna Bump No More with No Big Fat Woman." And they still play that on radio. But yeah. So we went to see him 1972, I guess, and it wasn't very well publicized. It was this really decrepit theater in central San Francisco, and there was such a low turnout that Joe Tex just had the opening act do about 2 hours, and then he came out and just he could really dance. He was one of the best. He's good, at least as good a dancer as James Brown, and he could. He did impressions of everybody too, and could do a fantastic James Brown with all the.
I love finding this out about people that we've known or are famous or are categorized as one thing, and you find out at a party they can do something else. It's like, have you ever met Charlie Chaplin? Yeah. Oh, he played this incredible violin, but you had to be at the party to know it. You go, well, yeah, that's not fair.
Yeah. And the other thing about that night was because, it was, Joe Tex did about 45 minutes, then brought the opening act up to do some more stuff. And so me and my partner just went backstage to talk to him. And he was really sweet, really, really nice. And I was telling him about some of the records of his that I really liked. And he hadn't thought about them. He didn't do any of those in his concert, but he was just like, man, you got that one? Oh, give me 5, boy.
Well, I like millions of others. I watched Elton's farewell. He's stealing my act. Farewell concert at the Dodger Stadium. I also Ubered some people there. That was a nightmare. But I watched it. I watched it on Disney Plus, and it was as good as a 95-year-old artist could do. But the thing is that all he did was, because he's so famous, was he played his hits, and I'm sure he had another 100 hits that he didn't play. But I remember seeing him in 1972, and he did 1 or 2 hits that he had, or at least one. Like he did Your Song for sure, and he did Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, but that was new. And everything else he did was like, it was like a private concert at the Hollywood Bowl, because he picked songs that he enjoyed playing that he knows people didn't hear. But when you become that big of a star, you're not allowed, apparently, to play the obscure song you've written and recorded. What do you think of that, Gary? We've got to get you in on the show sometime.
Yeah, thank you. I agree.
Okay, so shut up, Gary. You're taking over the show. You're talking too much. For fuck's sake.
I'm going to text you again. I tell you who I did see. I was in New York, and that's a place, isn't it? I was in New York in a little bar, and a guy shuffled across, sat down, started playing the piano, and it was Dr. John.
Oh, wow.
Just a gig in a bar in New York.
Wow.
I forget. Is he still around?
No, he passed away.
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah. His name was Pasternak, I think, or Mac Rebenak.
Malcolm Rebenak, yes.
Malcolm Rebenak, yeah.
Yeah, and I have this record from 1958 called Lights Out by Jerry Byrne that he wrote and produced. It was on the Specialty label, which was the same label Little Richard recorded for. And it's
one
of the greatest rock and roll records ever, called Lights Out by Jerry Byrne. You can, Google it, and it's on, I'm sure it's on YouTube, but it's 1 minute and 50 seconds. And there's a keyboard solo in the middle that is Dr. John. And it's just this, it's like Jerry Lee Lewis, it's that ding, ding, clinking at the top of the keyboard and stuff, and doing all these glissandos and stuff. So
awesome.
So yeah, Lights Out by Jerry Byrne, Byrne.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this question, because we're all about the same age group. We're somewhere between over 50 and death.
I'm a little offended by that.
Sorry?
I'm a little offended by that.
Yeah, I'm sure you're the baby of the bunch, Gary. So
I'm sure you are. But so we have this sort of cultural war going on in America, where you got these Gen Xers and millennials who are they seem to be having a schizophrenic time with dealing with people like Stephen Allen Green's age. I get a lot of sir, and I don't mind that. I got used to it. But
Trump coming, and he came to me with tears in his eyes, and he said, "Sir."
I don't know that.
I hear that in all of his speeches. He'll tell
really?
Some story about it.
No, I don't know that. I don't know that. But it's a combination of showing me respect because of my age or distance I've run in this business. But there's just also, they want to be left alone, and they don't want to explain anything to these old people, and all that. So hi, Damien. But here's the thing. I mean, I hear some, we're thinking of these songs, and I'm guessing that if I was around today, if I was born 25 or 30 years ago, and I was around today, and someone played for me Great Balls of Fire, a whole lot of shaking going on, or Little 16 by Chuck Berry, or I mean, just going back to the basics, I would go, that's really cool. I dig that. But I just think that we're looked upon here as, you know, we're old too. It's like it's okay to be old school, but not too old school. You see what I'm saying?
I think, well, in the UK, I think there is a real respect for older music. You know, music that, you know, from the sort of 70s and 80s. I think that's very. My kids are teenagers and they love all that kind of music. You know, they don't love me. They've got no respect at all for me. But the music at the time, the culture, they love all that. And, you know, that's a sample of two boys. And
that's another thing about England, is that it didn't seem to matter. I mean, Earl Oaken told me when the Beatles were on television, first of all, unlike America that has 3 to almost 4 time zones, if you count the tip of Halifax, I think, in Canada, England has 1 time zone. And so the whole family would gather around and watch, you know, the Royal Variety performance, and there'd be, you know, the Beatles, there'd be an older comedian, there'd be you know, a Chauncey singer or a torch singer, and everybody enjoyed everything. And but everything's just gotten so tribal in America, and fighting factions. And
I felt that way about radio in America too. Is that it's you know, BBC Radio 2 still plays music of the 60s, 70s, 80s. I mean, they're drifting more into a younger demographic now, but the only way you can hear a song from the 60s is you have to find a 60s radio station on, you know, Sirius or whatever. There, you can't just
everything's gotten specialized. This is basically McLuhanism, Marshall McLuhan. Technology, the medium is the message. So when technology allowed for more stations, more bandwidth, everything became specialized. So rather than hearing what they would call format-free radio, where you'd hear an opera song, you'd hear, basically the way Fraser Smith describes it to me is you'd hear Frank Sinatra followed by a Sex Pistols song. You know, and you will hear that on public radio here at KCRW, which I love, at certain times, and you will also hear it on Liza Tarbuck show. Love Liza Tarbuck on Saturday. Well, Saturday evenings where you guys are. Saturday mornings here where I am, and I love variety. And I just think variety can, you know, you can play the HMS Pinafore. It's a catchy tune. You know, you can play something from that, and then play, you know, 9 Inch Nails, and you have a you know, I think that's how you actually get creative shows. You get creative where you just.
Yeah. Do you listen? Do you know? You listen to Lisa Tarbuck at all, Gary?
When you said Lisa Tarbuck, I was thinking, do you know there's a girl in England called Liza Tarbuck? And not really. And I've only just twigged. Are you actually talking about her show?
Yeah, she's on 6 o'clock on Saturdays.
Jimmy Tarbuck's daughter, the comedian.
A Liverpudlian comedian, right?
Yeah. I don't think she's a comedian. She's an actress, isn't she?
No. Her father.
Her father, very famous. He was like the Beatles at the time.
But yeah, she's done a lot of. She does a lot of voiceover work too. Yeah, her show is just a nice amount. I mean, it's the only place in the world I've ever heard Wynonie Harris on the radio. Wynonie Harris was a R&B singer of the late 40s, early 50s, who did these great risque R&B records like "Keep on Churning Till the Butter Comes." That was, you know, that got a lot of play on jukeboxes, not much on the radio, but he did some. A lot, and he also did the first hit version of "Have You Heard the News? There's Good Rockin' Tonight," which Elvis later covered.
Right.
But you know, Lisa Tarbuck does play him with some regularity, and I just think,
Rick, have you ever thought of writing a book about rock and roll? I know you're working on a book about your comedy career and your experiences, but you're so knowledgeable of the connections to music. Have you thought of doing that?
I was doing one for a while, which was about all the most maligned hit-making artists of all time, and the one great record each of them did.
That's a great idea. Give us an example.
Like there was one I had that was a group together. They were all mediocre artists of the early 60s who did a Burt Bacharach song and did a kick-ass version. One was and they weren't major hits, but in that grouping I had Bobby Vinton, Bobby V, and Paul Anka, who all did Bacharach songs, and they're just superb. What they did with them, and otherwise they were just part of that early 60s stuff that people maligned so much. There was also a Pat Boone record where he did a beach song that was, he clearly had some of the Beach Boys in on the recording with him because it was called Beach Girl. But, it was actually really good and you couldn't tell it was Pat Boone's voice. So
I've seen Pat Boone naked up front.
I saw that picture in Hustler too. Yes.
No. It was in the locker room of the gym I used to belong to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
Was he holding a shoebox over his...
I can't give anything away.
Were you on a ladder, a very tall ladder?
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry I brought this up.
Well, because I remember that Hustler article. It just said Pat Boone nude.
Is that real?
That was real.
I thought you were taking the piss, mate.
No, this was for real about in the 1980s. And it was, they, on one page, they had a cover of one of his religious albums. And on the next page, it was him holding a shoebox over his thingy with a hole cut out and his willy going through the hole in the shoebox. And he's pointing down and giving this look like, what's that?
And wasn't that ironically another hit 50s song? His Willie going through a hole in a shoebox.
Yeah, it was on one of his album of hymns. Yeah, so
Gary, we have a guest today, Gary.
I just Googled who Pat Boone is.
You had to Google who Pat Boone was. Wow.
I quite adventurously Googled Pat Boone naked, and it didn't come up.
I'm glad. So you're coming out to LA. Do you want to tell our audience what you're coming out for, or is that just secret showbiz behind the scenes stuff?
No. I can tell people. I mean, it's a panel show, comedy panel show. We've got some interest from broadcasters back in the UK, so we're pitching it back to the UK. We're recording a few episodes in North Hollywood next Wednesday. If any of your listeners, we're recording an episode in the morning and an episode in the afternoon. If any of your listeners would like to be in the audience and they like laughing, please let us know.
Well, I'd like to be there, but yeah, how do our listeners?
Stephen, you're going to be there because I booked you as a cab. You're driving me there, so you have to.
Well, I didn't know I'd be allowed in, but okay.
Okay. Well, you're not allowed in. You have to wait outside, obviously, in the car. But
yeah. I'm looking forward. So, how do our listeners get tickets for this?
Well, they're free. I guess you just have to drop me a line or drop you.
How do they drop you a line? That's the point.
That's the game. I don't know. So
Facebook.
So the show's called Dorks and Orcs. Dorks, DORKS. Dorks.
Dorks and Orcs. Does it have a web page? I'll find it right now.
Sounds like more.
Web Dorks.
Oh no, this browser doesn't support sharing. I have to do it on a different browser. I've been having such limitations on these computers. I'm sorry, but Dorks and Orcs is this game.
On Facebook, if you go on Facebook or on there, if you go
Dorks and Orcs.
Dorks and Orcs. And it's a panel show, and it looks a little bit like comedians mucking about playing Dungeons and Dragons, but they're not really. But it looks like that. It's a lot of fun. We've been doing it for a couple of years now, live in the UK. We've done it online in the UK with a bunch of, Jared Christmas. Remember Jared Christmas from the UK?
I remember the name.
Yeah, he was actually, he's a New Zealander.
He's a Kiwi. Yeah. So Jared was doing it. The London version, and Ninya Benjamin, if you guys remember Ninya from London.
Yeah,
I thought her name was Nina Benjamin, but I do know her.
We tried to get her on the show, and she agreed. She agreed to do it, and she didn't show. So
yeah. So we're doing that, and the comedians we've got on the Wednesday, if anyone you come along, we've got myself. I'm like a chairperson, and then we've got, because it's Dungeons and Dragons, we've got a dragon. We've got Piff the Magic Dragon. If you remember him from the Vegas thing?
You've got Piff the Magic Dragon from America's Got Talent?
Yeah.
Oh,
So he's
of course, yeah.
Oh,
Of course we do, Stephen.
And then British comics, we've got Jeff Leach, who's over in LA.
Don't know him, but okay.
A brilliant comic. A New Zealand comic called Steve Wrigley.
Don't know him, but okay.
He was a support actor, Rhys Darby, just recently. He's very, very good. I think he's in New York, but he's in LA for the...
What about an American comedian?
Jenny Zagrino. You know Jenny?
I know Jenny Zagrino.
Yeah. So she's on.
1 out of 4.
Well, we're trying to pitch you back the UK. I'll tell you who else we've got. He's Irish. The fabulous David Nihill. You know him? Irish comedian.
I know Dave Nihill. I worked with him in San Francisco. He's a very funny Irish comedian.
Very funny.
Oh, it sounds like you got some really great names.
Yeah. And Luke Moniz. You know Luke Moniz? He's American.
Luke Monarch?
Moniz.
No, I don't know Luke Moniz. I'm sorry.
Sounds French.
And what time next Wednesday?
So, the cameras probably start rolling for the first episode at 10 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to record. The broadcast is a 30-minute show, but we're probably going to record for about 90 minutes or so.
All right, Rick, we may have to cancel next week's Comedy Dish show.
Definitely cancel it. Or do it live. Do it live from there, and then we're going to have lunch, and then we're going to have a second show in the afternoon.
Yeah, because if it.
Do it live. Do it from there.
How can we do it in your studio, making noise, sitting there going,
obviously,
I want to watch your show.
Obviously, in the lunch break, we'll do a lunch break. Loads of comics hanging out. We should just do any, even if it's not the Comedy Dish.
All right, let's do it. So next week it'll be at.
Let's do.
What's the name of the studios, by the way? Do you know?
It's in North Hollywood. I don't know.
North Hollywood. Okay.
It's if anyone's interested, let me know and I'll give you the details.
Hey, I got a joke I wrote. I'll give you can use, which is why are there no?
It was a matter of time, Stephen. It was a matter of time before you wrote a joke. Well done.
I couldn't hear you. I have technical problems, but here's the joke I just wrote a couple of weeks ago. I did it on stage. Why? Thank you. Why are there no prostitutes in North Hollywood?
Why are there no prostitutes in North Hollywood?
Because it's NoHo. It's NoHo.
All right.
North Hollywood is nicknamed NoHo.
Yeah, I
get it now.
No, we understood it. You got it.
Oh, for fuck's sake! All right, let's do our last pub quiz. Let's get the score on top. Let's do the branding. No, we're not done yet, mate. We're not done.
Are all of the different scores added up? Could I still win if I just?
Well, I'll give you one.
The current score, and we'll do 3 questions.
Yeah, I think it's 3.5 to 2.5, something like that. I think
I'm leading, right?
Stephen is ahead so far.
There's a pint of Guinness on the line here, Gary, or whatever you drink.
Okay.
By the way, sorry, this is really important. In LA, do you do Guinness? Can I get a pint of Guinness in LA?
Yes.
You can only. The thing is, you can only get an American pint, not an imperial pint.
Yeah, it was 16 ounces instead of 22 or whatever it is.
Yeah, but we can go to my local pub, which is the Cat and Fiddle, where I produced Bangers and Laughs. Yeah, that's where we'll go. We'll go to the Cat and Fiddle pub.
Are we going to hang out and have a beer afterwards, after the show, the recording?
Well, yeah, and then there's a couple of pubs. There's a Fox and Hounds. Which is my favorite pub in LA so far is the Fox and Hounds in the Valley. And
I can't wait to get out there. I really can't wait to get out there to you.
You're not going to want to leave. Rupesh was just out here. My friend my mate Rupesh, who produced my movie Little Things, and is now the executive producer of Willow, the series for Disney and Lucas.
I was confusing him with Rupesh's Drag Race, but all
right. Final 3 questions. 3.5 points. Sorry, Rick, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm looking at the clock. My eyes are blurry. I didn't put my glasses on.
9 minutes here.
Carry on.
Okay. This is UK geography, so a chance for Gary to. In what county is the easternmost part of England? In what county is the easternmost part of England?
Cheshire.
It is not Cheshire.
You want the name of the county?
Just the name of the county.
Essex?
I would have thought it was Essex, but it's
eastern or western?
Easternmost.
I was going okay. I don't know.
It is Suffolk.
Suffolk.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah, I didn't ask that. That was on my reserve list for last night. I'm going to ask that next week. Okay. On what planet has it been shown that earthquakes occur besides Earth, of course? But
Mars.
Mars is the answer. There you go. So
that's what I would have said. Now it's a tie score.
It's a tie score,
and we have one more question, which could be the tiebreaker, be the winner of the game, right?
It could be. It could work that way. So,
go team!
World geography. What is the name of the flat-topped peak?
What kind of geography is it apart from world geography?
Yeah, right. Good point.
Okay.
Thank you. I got a point.
It's not confined to us, UK.
We get it, Rick. We get it. We're being stupid. Carry on.
I'm being the straight man at this point. What is the name of the flat-topped peak that overlooks Cape Town, South Africa? Because of
the Bridge of Suffering. No. God, I wouldn't know. That's a good question.
Okay. Well, it's called Table Mountain.
Okay.
I think, I just thought that's such a cool name. All right. Tiebreaker. Okay. What have I got left here? My goodness. World War II. What was the code name for the D-Day invasion?
Overlord.
Overlord is the answer.
Wow, there you go. Wow, Gary Coleman wins it. We wins it. We need to
my answer. I was just trying to address Stephen. I always call him Overlord.
Yeah.
Hey, good. We had this resolved.
Me under minion.
Congratulations.
Good job. Yeah, you're the first one to beat Stephen.
That's not true. I've lost multiple times. Haven't
really? I think we only started keeping score recently. I know you beat Joey Gaynor last week, so but there's no prize. You get to come to LA.
Yeah, there's a prize. I pick him up at the airport and buy him a drink.
Yes, and you're it's all good, as they would say. Yeah. So anyway,
well, it was fun, you guys. I really appreciate it. It really makes my week to do this show. I love doing it. Gary, send me the deets if you haven't already to pick you up at LAX, Los Angeles International Airport. I'll pick you up, take you to where you're staying, and I assume you will need a ride from where you're staying to the recording of the gig. I can be there for you as well.
Yeah. But we're going to go for a drink afterwards. You need to leave your.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to.
We need to get a taxi. We need to get a taxi because we're going to. You need.
Oh, you can't. You can't drink and drive. I guess.
You can't drive. I'll get you a taxi.
Oh, I see. I'm not going to get pissed, but okay, we'll do a taxi.
Okay.
I love you guys. This was a lot of fun. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We got to do our our sponsor, our main sponsor, because our overlord, corporate overseer, producer, Damian Fitz, in the home office is making sure that we do Negron area rugs. So basically, Gary, our friend, the late Taylor Negron, great comedian and actor, was in the movie Punchline, and it was directly from a stand-up act. And he talks about going to shop on La Cienega for a carpet. And he goes to one of these Iranian, I think it was during the time when we were having trouble with Iran.
Late 70s.
That would be now.
Was it late 70s through?
Yeah, late 70s, yeah.
No.
And so there was a bit of freedom in, I guess we felt justified in being somewhat racist, sarcastic.
Yeah, you could do their accent. It was okay.
Right. So he goes into the carpet store run by the Iranian and says, "I'd like to buy some carpet." And the carpet guy goes, "You don't want carpet. You want an area rug." That's how he says area rug. And so Taylor was like stupidly, because that was his character, making fun of the way the guy pronounced. Now I don't condone making fun of Iranians. In fact, of any group. And I've met a lot of wonderful Iranians. We have a wonderful Iranian community in Los Angeles, over in Westwood. There's some great people, very smart people, moral people, family values, children aren't crazy, and good money-making people. Having said that, let's do the joke. Okay. So I'll set it up, and then the punchline, Gary, you join in on is basically, You don't want carpet. You want an area rug. And just say it like, like I say, like, you don't want carpet. You want an area rug. And then I'll say
area rug.
Area rug, yeah. Area rug, yeah.
Take one.
Yeah.
All right, let's just do the punchline. Everybody, 3, 2, 1. You don't want carpet. You want an ag. All right, we miss Taylor Negron. Thank you very much. Thanks our viewers over in the UK and right here in the US. Thank you, Gary Coleman. You're a real star. You're a real star. Look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you, Brian. Take care. Stay warm, guys.
Okay.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you in the future, whenever the future may happen.
Okay. Night.